RTX 5060 spikes $75 overnight in China as memory kit hike ripples across the entire GPU market. What memory kit hike? Well, Nvidia reportedly raises GeForce GPU kit prices for both GDDR7 and GDDR6 models. Many news stories to talk about today, and all sources will be linked in the video description. This one about memory kit price hike for Nvidia, I found at videocards.com, but they're getting it from BenchLife, which is a Chinese language outlet, so this is through translation, and they monitor all the back channel information with AIB partners, etc. And they're saying, now we have received notifications that Nvidia has issued a price increase notice for GPU kit, GPU plus VRAM to its AIC partners, and we all know that this usually involves raising memory prices. According to information we have received, in addition to the price of increase of GDDR7 memory based on the Blackwell GPU architecture, other GeForce products using GDDR6 memory will also see price increases. So basically, Nvidia sells the GPU chip as well as the VRAM bundle to their board partners, who then put together the card that you buy at the retail store. So at the beginning of this chain, Nvidia has to source the VRAM itself. So Nvidia probably has contracts negotiated for a certain amount of time, which then need to be renegotiated. So as we've seen, RAM pricing has just gone up and up and up. So every time a new contract is renegotiated, Nvidia's price is probably increasing. They then pass that on to board partners, who will then pass it on to distributors, who will then pass it on to retailers, who will then pass it on to you, the consumer, although it's looking like some retailers may not be waiting to already bump up pricing, at least according to this article regarding China pricing for some 5060 models. US pricing for AMD GPUs has already been getting worse. Remember, I reported recently that AMD, same kind of back channel stuff, saying that their pricing has also been reported to go up. Like the 9070s I was looking at just in my buying guide at the beginning of this month, which were available for around $600. I'm now seeing $640 to $650 for the lowest priced models. That seems to be going up. The 9070 XT, where I was finding some models closer to $650, are now back up to around $700. So we're already seeing some prices creeping up on various models. All signs are pointing to things getting worse rather than better in the near future for GPU pricing, and that's all related to the memory shortage, but also SSD prices have been terrible, and if you're wondering if those are going to be getting better, it's looking like Nvidia's new Rubin data center chips will soak up NAND supply like a sponge absorbs water, because they're using just insane amounts of SSDs, looking like NVIDIA's CMX is equipped with 576 SSDs, providing a total storage capacity of nearly 1,000 terabytes. So yeah, it's looking like SSD pricing unlikely to improve anytime soon, and the just overall memory shortage is leading to declines in PC sales in Q2, with only Asus and Apple showing any growth. And Valve has said that there's no end in sight to the memory crisis. Prices are only going to increase. Honestly, it's still getting worse, and that bulk supply that they're trying to buy up is at least 3 to 6 months ahead of what we'll see in the retail market. So what they're seeing now, we'll be seeing in a few months, and things aren't looking good. More on this in a minute, but first, let's be honest, some of you really need to upgrade your chair. Forgetting about the chair when upgrading your gaming PC setup is a huge mistake, and frankly, what some of you are doing is a bit embarrassing. What you need is a high-quality ergonomic office chair like the Flexispot C7M that Flexispot recently sent me, and a huge thanks to Flexispot for sponsoring this part of today's video. Actually, this is my second one because my mother-in-law claimed my first one after house-sitting one evening and having the best nap of her life after extending the footrest. My back used to give me all sorts of problems after long gaming or working sessions at my desk, but the adaptive lumbar support on the C7M has helped me so much. Seriously, your back will thank you for this upgrade. The C7M also has so many other annoying problems solved. A mesh back solves those sweaty long gaming sessions, and adjustable height armrests solves the annoying problem where you get a chair that you can't actually get to sit flush with your desk or reach an appropriate height for reaching your mouse and keyboard comfortably. The Flexispot C7M armrests have a truly impressive range of motion, allowing them to rotate forward, backward, inside, and outside to get into perfect position. And unlike most office chairs, I can rotate the arms far enough out of the way to play my guitar comfortably. I used to have to use a separate chair just for guitar. There's also an adjustable height back, the seat can move forward and backward, and there is a 3D adjustable headrest. This allows the chair to adapt perfectly to your body, and when you want to kick back for some controller-based gaming, just pull out that footrest and it's perfect. With a 30-day return policy and 10-year warranty with direct replacement for damaged parts, there's no reason not to check out the sponsored link in the video description or pinned comment to upgrade to a Flexispot ergonomic office chair today. Use my code C750 to get $50 off, or check out the C5 chair if you have a more limited budget, or even the C7 Morpher with a complete upgrade to the lumbar support and upper backrest. Now, I know a lot of this sounds very, very rough situation right now, and I can't really sugarcoat that. Things do look kind of bad, with Steam Deck sales reportedly falling 82% after the price hikes due to increased component costs. I mean, some people have been looking for CXMT's Chinese memory supplier that's ramping up production to help ease supply pressure, but it looks like they're looking for as much profit here as possible. So they're also charging more than Samsung now for DRAM as memory demand continues to skyrocket. So, I mean, every bit of ramped up production helps, but if it's still just a drop in the bucket compared to demand, it really doesn't ease pricing that much. Now, please don't resort to robbery of Chinese esports hotels to get your RAM, because apparently that was at least an issue for two men reportedly checked into Chinese esports hotels to steal 16 RAM sticks. So anyway, not my recommended way to get your RAM, although some people seem to have money to burn, spending $1 million on a signed leather jacket from Jensen Huang. So if you're wondering who has the money to buy up PCs and RTX 5090s at these inflated prices, maybe it's the same kind of people who buy the $1 million jackets. Now, I've been looking for some things to maybe celebrate here. One is good news on the LG McAfee pop-up situation. So I ranted about this in a recent video where my LG monitor suddenly decided to install an annoying app just out of the blue after having had this for well over a year with no issues. And then that app not only just annoyingly installed itself, but also started advertising McAfee every time I would boot my computer. Gamers Nexus did an entire video about this, going into a lot more depth. But apparently the backlash against this has reached Microsoft, who has now discussed the issue with LG, and they have managed to get at least the McAfee advertisement to be pulled from this LG monitor app installer thing. Now, in general, I still just don't like the monitor software being installed on my PC without me knowing about it through the Windows Update back channel thing. So that's just annoying in general. I think I could get by using a monitor without it installing software on my PC, right? Like, I'm not going to use that app to do anything. I don't feel like I need it, so I'd rather that be an optional software that you could seek out if you wanted it, as opposed to something that just automatically installs itself. So I still don't think this is a perfect situation, but at least pulling the advertisement components out of it is a good first step. Another thing that seems interesting in the PC space is that Xbox backwards compatibility on PC has now launched. So this is, Xbox officially launching for original Xbox games on PC, which means that there has been work on an official emulation system to make this happen. Now, personally, as just a side note, I felt it convenient that Fuzion Frenzy was part of this launch, and that this launch happened right alongside the launch of the Halo remake, because as a little bit of a side note, the original Halo game on Xbox, at least the version of it that I had, also had some game demos on it. Fuzion Frenzy was a game demo that was on the Halo copy that I had. And so at my Halo LAN parties that we do on a regular basis, we'd oftentimes also end up playing some of the mini games on Fuzion Frenzy, specifically twisted system where you'd have to duck and jump over certain things. And that was a big part of my Halo LAN parties, was that Fuzion Frenzy demo. So now I can recreate that experience as well, except unfortunately, I don't think there's any like online multiplayer component added in here. It is just the emulation of the games. Now, I haven't had a chance to really test these out myself yet, but I did see just as I was about to start filming, Digital Foundry posted a video testing these out. Now, I'll link all my sources in the video description so you could look at this in more detail. They did find a few annoying issues, but it mostly works pretty well. And I imagine that these issues will probably get patched, and then things will work better and better as they add more games. Where it looks like they complained that the text size could look small, but then if you scale it up in Windows, it would also affect the rendering resolution of the game, which is a little bit unfortunate. There was also a few rendering bugs that they found, but overall things worked pretty well, if not perfectly. But then there's the question of what sort of emulation are they doing to get this up and running? And it's looking like it's running through like 2 layers of emulation. So basically it seems like, when the Xbox 360 launched, to offer backwards compatibility of original Xbox games, there had to be some emulation created for that, and that was called Zifu, which went from the original Xbox was running on x86 architecture, but I think the Xbox 360 was like IBM PowerPC or something like that. I forget some of the details. But emulation was required there. So what seems to be happening here is that these original Xbox games are actually running in a Xbox 360 emulator, which is then running the Xbox emulator that ran on the 360. So it's like, we're emulating the Xbox 360 on the PC, which is then emulating the OG Xbox to run these games. That seems to be what is happening based on people looking into the files on these games. So interesting stuff, and I'm sure it will continue to get better as we go. Now, it's also interesting to think about, why is this happening? So remember, a lot of us are expecting the next Xbox console to be very, very PC-like and potentially just running a controller-friendly version of Windows, and that all of this work towards the Xbox mode for Windows, and now getting the Xbox original games backwards compatibility up and running here is all preparation to have the next Xbox console be running on essentially Windows. So this, to me, feels like it fits very well into that whole idea of what is probably coming for the next generation of Xbox consoles. It'll be a lot more PC-like, still be interesting to see if it'll be completely unlocked like a PC, like maybe just start in Xbox mode, but be able to switch into a full Windows desktop environment or not. So we'll still have a lot to wait and see to figure out exactly how all of this plays out. Now, another interesting news topic is that the Nvidia App Update 11.0.8 has added 240 FPS shadow play recordings as long as you have a 40 or 50 series GPU. Now, since uploading content to most places, like I know YouTube is limited to 60 FPS, this is a limited use, but I'm sure some people would like to have this feature available. You could slow things down to see every frame, or maybe for your own personal recording use. So there are reasons why it's nice to have the feature rather than not have it. So there's that. Speaking of NVIDIA drivers, there has seemed to be some issues with Battlefield 6 water maps on the latest ones. I don't think I have the article pulled up here, so I know there have been some crashing issues on the latest drivers, and people have been reverting to older ones on that. Now, Steam has an update which now lets guests buy games as gifts without an account. And now I know that's probably not super useful for most of my audience who probably already has Steam accounts, but I was thinking, for buying people to, buy gifts for somebody they know who plays games on Steam, but maybe you yourself are a console gamer or just a friend or relative who isn't a gamer, but you have a PC gaming friend or kid or whatever, this does seem to be a nice update to make it easier to gift things on Steam if you yourself aren't a Steam user. So seems like a good usability change. And then in a bit of recent gaming news, it looks like in a recent interview, the Amazon's gaming department chief has said that Tomb Raider Catalyst will be coming in 2028, which is a bit of a delay because the game was originally announced for 2027 last we had heard. Now, there is still a Tomb Raider game coming in 2027 because there's two different Tomb Raiders coming out. Tomb Raider Catalyst, I think, is a new game, new story, all of that, whereas there's a different Tomb Raider that is coming in 2027, still Legacy of Atlantis, which I think is a remake, reimagining of the original Tomb Raider game. So that one I think is still coming 2027. Also in Amazon gaming news, they talked a little bit about Amazon's Luna cloud streaming gaming service and thinking that the increased cost of consoles going over the $1,000 potentially for Gen 10 could increase interest in cloud gaming solutions. Now, obviously, a Amazon gaming executive would want to sell people on that. But for those of you, worried about are we all going to be pushed into cloud gaming, etc., even he isn't feeling like that's really the case because it's just it doesn't solve, like it's just not where everybody's going to want to be, right? A lot of people, even if consoles get quite expensive or PCs get quite expensive, still want that physical local hardware. So anyway, in other Amazon-related gaming news, they had initially, after 007 First Light came out, which had been developed by the Hitman developers, IO Interactive, and met good reviews, strong initial sales. I liked the game quite a bit myself. Amazon had mentioned, because they own the rights to James Bond games, that IO Interactive would probably not be making the sequel. It seems like they might be backing off on that and realizing that IO Interactive did a very good job, and perhaps it would be the right move to allow them to do the sequel. Although there really hasn't been an official, complete statement one way or the other on any of this. So overall, yeah, I mean, the news is not looking great this week. Things are looking to get more expensive for GPUs, for RAM and SSDs, and of course CPUs themselves are being used a lot in agentic AI, so CPUs not completely immune here anyway. So I wish there was a little happier news, but this just is where we're at with things right now. I would say some of the good news though is with it's the pace of progress slowing down on next gen GPUs giving such big performance boosts like they used to and all of that, that perhaps the ability to hang on to your older hardware and still enjoy games for a longer period of time is maybe the silver lining in all of this. So if you don't need to rush out and upgrade your PC because you can still play the latest games, or you're just playing older games, because a lot of us have huge backlogs of everything, so maybe this is a good time to enjoy the hardware you have and play on play through those backlogs, all of that. Because, yeah, trying to look for any sort of silver lining here. But if you do want to upgrade, it's looking like if you want to do it soon, then sooner might be better than the near future, where it's looking like things may be getting worse rather than better. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, despite it not all of it being super rosy information. At least hopefully you found it useful and or interesting, and I hope all of you have an excellent day.